All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being a little patient. I had a technical difficulty getting started, had an audio issue, but we are up, we are running, and we are good to go. So I hope that everybody had a solid, good weekend. And we've been seeing a pullback in crypto. Yeah, a lot of my guys in Algo Factory were thinking we would see a pullback of Bitcoin back down to the bottom of that range where price had been rotating. So let me go ahead and share the screen here and get that ready so we can talk about that. I won't pull one of those times when I sit there and talk about it and like nobody can see it. I hate when I do that. It's the worst. So give me just 1 second. Right. Do a little screen share here. All right, there's that. Okay, let me expand this screen. Give me just a moment. Okay, and we're going to look at Bitcoin on the daily. Yeah, so basically price has broken down, right, a little bit since the last time we talked. So let's review on a weekly chart what's been going on actually, and then we'll drop down to the daily. So we'll take a more simple view without as much detail. Bitcoin going back approximately 1 to 15 weeks or so. Going back to March, price has been consolidating in this area where this rectangle is. And that's basically between 72,000 on the top side and 60,000, really 60,200 on the bottom here if we really want to measure that out. And price just bounces back and forth, and it's bounced back and forth a couple of times and respected those boundaries, and so far that continues. Now if you look on the on the inside of this, if you look at a lower time frame, you'll see the price develops these lower time frame ranges. One I have not marked out here where you see the mouse, and then one on the bottom here, one on the top, where price ranges back and forth between a tighter range within those ranges. And for about 5.5, 6 weeks, price bounced between 66,800 and 71,900. So this bottom of this range and the top of that range right there. So if we go down to a lower time frame, we'll see also that price used to bounce from this 60,200-ish area and this 65,400 area. So those are a couple areas where price used to bounce from and may begin to rotate again because price seems to be headed back down there. Now, before we drop to a lower time frame, I can see that the algorithms are high time frame bullish, but on this higher time frame, it does look as if price does need to gather up some speed before it can move up again. The price did run up against resistance from a certain metric. So back to the daily time frame, where we can take a little bit of a closer look at these ranges, right? So you have this bottom range where price rotated between about 60,200 and a top side, lots of rejections at this 65,200, basically, right? A little bit higher than that, basically right at that area. And then it moved up, and following what was the Wyckoff pattern at the time, price was rotating between 66,800 and this top side 72,000. And as Bitcoin was rotating, it did end up running into resistance, rejecting and going to the downside, and started to bounce off this lower consolidation again, which again, the top side is 65,200-ish. However, price does seem to want to reject off this higher one. And instead of going back into this higher consolidation here, it appears that it may want to head down into here, but it has not done that yet. So what are the possible options? Well, let's take a quick look at the algo screen. And again, I don't really explain how this screen works. That's for me. I don't even tell Algo Factory how most of that screen works, although I do give them some clues. I do give some clues as to how that screen works. There is particular part of the algo, a particular indicator that I do explain, and it actually is the strongest part of my algo. So over at Algo Factory, I do give you a piece of that, but in the public, I really don't. In this case, though, it does appear the price will eventually make its way back down into this consolidation, and I imagine it'll be to grab liquidity from this lower area. So I'm going to extend this out, and I'm not saying that it's going to go that far. I'm not saying it's going to go no farther. I'm just saying that there's a good chance the price now or later is going to break down into here and maybe rotate like this, right? Perhaps it will bounce here and then break down. Perhaps it will merely bounce right here and break up. All the different ideas. It could merely go straight down into this. There are a lot of many things it could do. However, these consolidations are areas of liquidity, okay? So these are areas where price did a lot of movement before, okay? And if that's the case, where price did movement before, it could do it again. It's going to want to go there to grab liquidity. It's going to want to go there because there are people who traded there before, and because there are people who traded there before, that means that there are orders that are sitting and waiting there. So let's take a brief look at the kingfisher.io. I don't know if I already have one of those open. Don't think I do. So bear with me a second. We'll open up a Kingfisher liquidity node. Let's get it. I'm going to have to log in here. Sorry, I did not have that ready. And of course, if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask them. Okay. And let's focus on our liquidity here. So the Kingfisher.io is a great solution, and there are many ways to use it. And you can even get some value out of this for free. And this is what we're going to demonstrate today, but I actually recommend using the Kingfisher overall. But for free, you can spin this little wheel here, and it'll give you credits to look at liquidity. Or you can pay for it, which I highly recommend. There is a link in the referral. There's a referral link in the description of the video. We're going to not keep spinning here because I have credits already. And you see here where it says Bitcoin and all. So I'm going to get all the liquidity nodes for Bitcoin, and this carries liquidity data for everything. Not everything, but most of the major perp contracts. So yeah, some older ones, some newer ones, and it's a great solution, right? You can see all the different perpetual contracts for which it carries liquidity data, and it gathers them from all these websites, all these different exchanges: Binance, OKX, Bybit, BitMEX, BitGet. Multi means you can get all those at the same time. I just use Binance. And the liquidity is in the near term, right? Not the lower areas where there seems to be a lot of liquidity, but in the kind of the immediate area, say from about 71,200, which is the top of that range, down to about 58,000, which is below the bottom of the range. There seems to be a fair amount of liquidity evenly spread. Closest area of liquidity to price is 63,000, which I talked about yesterday. I did say that it looks like price is more likely to touch 63,000 than anything else in the near term. And then we have 58,800, which is basically 60,000, 59,000 really. And that's the next area. And that is a stronger area when it comes to how much liquidity is sitting there. So basically 59,000 is going to be up here, right? Just below all of these rejection areas right here. All these rejections to the upside. So just above those arrows, or right where those arrows are, that's where we're going to see a lot of liquidity and a decent chance of price going down to that. And depending on what the algos are doing when price hits this level right here, I might be interested in taking along. Now, that means that I would be betting on the price going up from here. Now, there is a pretty unique opportunity given where we are in the market, given that the halving was recently over. If this halving behaves like the rest of the halvings, and none of them behave exactly the same, but they do have some similarities, then there's going to be some point at which we can take a very nice long. It'll be a high risk long. It'll be a long that has a really nice upside to it. Given that we are correct, the price will continue up and up and up at some point, right? Given that the halving is over, the pullback after the halving is over, that usually happens, and price will head up. But remember, we've only seen, we've only seen 4 halvings. So we don't have a ton of data as to how that's going to work out. So the kind of trades I'm going to take, I'm going to go ahead and share with Algo Factory. Right now, I'm going to move over to the private live lab. So we're going to do that. And we do this every day. We're on here for about 10 minutes or so on the on this version on the YouTube, the public, the YouTube, Rumble, X. We go on free. We give some information out for free, and then we go over to the private live lab. So let's go ahead and set that up. If you want to know what we do, by the way, go over to algofactory.tech. You can zap the QR code in the top right-hand side of the screen, and that will take you to our website. What we do is we help people become traders, right? We help people learn how to build their own trading algorithms, and that's pretty awesome. I mean, an algorithm doesn't mean you have to know how to code or anything like that. You could trade it manually. Most people do. But the biggest mistake that people make is to think that they can have a perfect trading method and be profitable. There's more to it. There's a lot more to it. And trading like a business is what is actually going to get you through. And the biggest indicator for success, right? The biggest driver for success is actually going to be persistence. It's not your genius. It's not your how good your algo is. It's none of that. It's how hard are you willing to work? That really is what it is. So if you're interested in taking charge of your own life, then I would definitely be considering going over to algofactory.tech and having the opportunity to actually extract money out of these markets on a regular basis, which is just, I mean, it's nice to not need a job. It does, no success is guaranteed, but the harder you work, the more likely you are to succeed. And that's like with anything. So perfect. All right. Well, we have spent enough time here. Yeah, Gulton, I talk about coins all the time. And I just I'm giving buy zones to the private live lab. So if you zap the QR code on the top right-hand corner, you can see where to join our private live lab. And that's how that works. All right. Thank you all. We're going to see you all tomorrow for the live lab. If you have questions on these live labs, you're more likely to get them answered if you ask them at the beginning of the live lab.
Join us or die.